a single line of tracks across fresh snow. For most of a century, you would not have found them here at all. This is Yellowstone, the first national park anywhere on Earth. From the air, it can look like a frozen wasteland, a plateau of ice laid over a sleeping fire. But under the snow lies the most complete wild system left anywhere in the temperate world. Almost every animal that walked this land 10,000 years ago still walks it today. Almost everyone. For 70 years, a single piece was missing, and without it, the whole living web began to come apart. Midwinter. The high country holds the cold the way a bowl holds water. The nights fall to 40 below, and the wind finds every gap in the world. Most animals have gone down to the valleys, or gone still. A few stay up here, and a few of those still hunt. Along the Lamar River, a valley opens between white mountains. Bison stand where the ground runs warm, steam lifting off their backs. And moving down the tree line, keeping to the long shadows, comes the animal that was taken from this place and then given back. The grey wolf, 9 of them in single file, noses low to the snow. A wolf must find close to 10 pounds of meat a day to hold its weight against a winter like this. To get it, the pack has to pull down animals many times its own size. Nothing out here is handed over. It is taken in the cold at a risk. Ahead, a herd of elk, hundreds of them digging through the snow for dead grass. The wolves spread out along the edge. They test the herd, watching for the one that stands a little wrong, the one that turns a little slow. They find him, an old bull at the back. The pack drifts closer. And then the whole valley breaks into motion. He runs for the river. In deep snow, the wolves gain with every stride. But at the water, he spins. He drops his great head and points his antlers back at them. And the pack pulls up short. One kick from a cornered elk can shatter a wolf. So they wait. They circle. They read him. A wolf hunt is mostly patience and mostly failure. Fewer than one hunt in 5 ends with a meal. The bull holds his ground. The light goes flat. And one by one, the wolves peel away into the trees. Tonight he lives, tonight they do not eat. But this is the animal that changes everything around it. To understand how, you have to know what this valley was like when it was gone. A 100 years ago, we decided the wolf had no place here. Ranchers, hunters, even the park rangers themselves hunted them down, den by den. By 1926, the last wolf pack in Yellowstone was dead. And the land we are looking at fell sick. With no wolves to keep them moving, the elk stood in the same soft ground and ate it down to the roots. Young willow and aspen never lived past their first season. The riverbanks lost their hold and began to crumble into the water. For 70 years, the valley was quieter and poorer, and no one could quite say why. Then, in 1995, biologists loaded 31 wolves into crates in Canada and drove them south, back to the country we had emptied of them. No one knew if it would take. It took. Within a few years, the elk learned to move again, to keep out of the low, boxed-in places where a pack could pin them. And where the elk stopped standing still at last, the willow grew back. That is the strange arithmetic of a predator. It does not only kill, it moves the herd. And by moving the herd, it hands the forest back its future. One animal holding up an entire valley. And a wolf kill is never wasted. Long before the pack has finished, the guests begin to arrive. Ravens drop out of the sky, dozens of them, walking in bold across the snow. A coyote circles at the edge, waiting for a gap. Magpies work the bones. A grizzly, if one is near, will simply take the whole thing for itself. One elk, brought down in the cold, can feed half the valley through a hard week. Here, death is not quite an ending. It is a meal being passed along. The ravens do more than clean up. They shadow the wolves for days, riding the wind above a hunting pack. Some think they even call the wolves toward prey the birds have found, but cannot open on their own. Wolf and raven working the same winter, each one a little in the other's debt. The coyote knows this ground well. For 70 years, with the wolf gone, it was the top dog of these valleys. Then the wolves came home, and the coyote's world shrank overnight. Packs killed them and drove them off the best country. But the coyote is a survivor. It gave ground, shifted its range, and stayed. It simply learned to live in the margins the wolf leaves behind. The wolves do not have this winter range to themselves. Sharing it with them is the heaviest animal on the continent. The American bison. A bull stands 6 feet at the shoulder and carries as much as 2,000 pounds. All of it muscle, over short, blunt legs. The snow that stops an elk barely slows him. He swings his huge head like a plow, sweeping the drifts aside to reach the grass beneath. And where the bison clears the snow, smaller animals move in behind him, feeding in the troughs he leaves. Yellowstone is the only place in the whole United States where wild bison have lived, without a single break, since before there were cities on this continent. Everywhere else, we wiped them out. There were once perhaps 30 million bison on these plains. In little more than one human lifetime, we shot them down to a scattered few hundred. By 1902, the wild herd here in Yellowstone had fallen to 23 animals. From that last handful, guarded at last, the herd began to climb. Today, around 5,000 bison move across this park, the largest wild herd left in America. Proof that a thing carried to the very edge can still come back, if we decide to let it. Out on the open flats, another survivor waits for the spring. This one was built not for the cold, but for speed. The pronghorn, the fastest animal in the Western Hemisphere. It can run at 60 miles an hour, and it can hold that pace not for seconds, but for miles. Nothing alive on this continent can catch it. And that is the puzzle. Why be so fast when no hunter here comes anywhere close? The answer is a ghost. "10,000 years ago, these plains held an American cheetah. The cheetah is long gone, but the pronghorn is still running from it, still carrying in its legs the memory of a predator that no longer exists." Slowly, the balance of the year begins to shift. The days stretch. The sun climbs higher off the peaks. High on the plateau, the snow softens, and the frozen ground starts to give up its winter. And on a south-facing slope, the earth itself begins to move. A den, dug last autumn and sealed by 5 months of snow, breaks open from the inside. The grizzly bear. She has not eaten or drunk or truly woken in almost half a year. Behind her, blinking into the first light of their lives, come 2 cubs, born deep in the winter dark while she slept. She has burned through nearly half her own body weight to keep them alive. Now she has to find food in a land that has almost none. She tears into a hillside for roots and grubs. She digs for a winter-killed elk, somewhere under the melting snow. She eats whatever the mountain will give. A wandering male is twice her size and will kill a cub that is not his own. When one crosses onto her slope, she does not run. She rises to her full height, puts her body between him and the den, and dares him to come closer. Almost always he thinks better of it. Almost always. Grizzlies breed more slowly than almost any animal on land. A female may raise only a handful of cubs in her whole life, which means every single one of them counts. Not long ago, we nearly lost them too. By 1975, fewer than 150 grizzlies were left in all of Greater Yellowstone. Protected at the last moment as a threatened species, they have climbed back to around 1,000. But they live now on an island of wild, with our world pressing in on every shore. The Thaw wakes a smaller, quieter hunter. Out in a white meadow, a red fox stands frozen in place, head tipped to one side, listening. Under a foot of snow, a vole is moving. The fox cannot see it. It is listening to it, turning its ears a fraction at a time, until the sound lines up exactly under its feet. Then it launches, straight up into the air, and drives headfirst down through the frozen crust. Sometimes it comes up with a mouthful, sometimes with nothing but snow on its nose. Spring is not only the thaw, it is the great birth of the year. Across the valley floor, the herds begin to drop their young. A bison cow steps a little apart from the herd, and within the hour there is a calf on the ground beside her. Bright orange, wobbling, already trying to stand. The park calls them red dogs. In a good year, thousands are born in a single week. For a short while, the whole valley is full of the newborn and the newly woken. And every predator in Yellowstone knows it. Life here arrives in a flood, and so does the hunt for it. As the snow lets go of the mountains, all the water it was holding begins to run. 1,000 small streams find the rivers, and the rivers wake the valley. Where the willow came back, the willow the wolves gave room to grow. Another builder has returned to work. The beaver, the largest rodent in North America, and the only animal besides ourselves that builds itself a whole new world to live in. With willow to eat and willow to cut, the beavers dam the streams. Behind each dam, the water spreads out and slows and sinks into the ground. A single family of beavers can turn a thin trickle into a marsh, loud with frogs and fish and birds. When the wolves were gone and the willow failed, the beavers had almost vanished from the northern valleys, down to a single stubborn colony. As the willow returned, so did they. A predator high on a ridge, and the wetlands filling again, far below. It is all one thread. The ponds they build pull in everything else. A river otter pours over a beaver dam and into the pool beneath it, rolling and twisting after trout with an ease the fish can rarely answer. The water below the dams runs clear and cold, and in it swims a fish this whole place depends on. The cutthroat trout. Grizzlies wade for it in the spawning streams. Ospreys carry it up to their young. Take the trout out of these rivers, and 100 hungry mouths feel it at once. High over the water, an osprey hangs on beating wings, watching. Then it folds and falls and hits the river feet first in a burst of spray. It climbs out heavy, a trout locked in its talons, and turns for the nest. But the trip home is not safe. A bald eagle has been watching the whole dive. It falls in behind the osprey, matching it turn for turn, until the smaller bird lets go of the fish rather than its life. The catch changes hands in mid-air. The bald eagle was once poisoned almost to nothing across this country. Today, it rides these rivers again in the thousands, watching the open water and watching every other bird that dares to fish it. and on a quiet stretch of the river drifts a bird that came even closer to the end. The trumpeter swan, the heaviest flying bird in North America. A century ago, hunted for its feathers, it had all but vanished from these lower states, down to a few dozen known birds. From that thread, too, it has come back. In the shallows stands the tallest of them all, a bull moose, shoulder deep in the current, hauling dripping willow up from the stream bed. 7 feet at the shoulder, and built for exactly this cold, drowned edge of the world. High above the rivers, summer finally reaches the peaks. For a few short weeks, the alpine world turns green, and every animal that can climb goes up to meet it. On a cliff face that would kill almost anything else, bighorn sheep pick their way across the bare rock as calmly as if it were a road. The rams carry curved horns that can weigh 30 pounds, as much as all the other bones in the body put together. When the autumn comes, they will rear up and throw themselves head-on into one another, again and again, for the right to breed. The crack of it carries for more than a mile. Down in the wet meadows, sandhill cranes step through the grass on long legs, calling in a voice older than almost any other bird alive. They have crossed the whole continent to nest here, in the short northern summer, in the few green weeks the mountains allow. And back in the valley, high summer brings the wolves their own new season. At a den in the pines, this year's pups tumble out into the light. Fat, clumsy, and fearless. The whole pack raises them. Older sisters, uncles, the lead pair. One brings back meat. Another stands guard. The pups chew on everything and learn the rules of the pack by breaking them. Most will not see their second winter, but the ones that do will carry this valley forward. On a cold, clear evening, the pack gathers and begins to howl. One voice, then another, then the whole family, folding over one another until you could never count them. It is not a warning. It is not a hunt. It is a family telling the valley, and every pack beyond it, exactly who lives here now. And down in the meadows, the elk are fat and many. This is the beating heart of Yellowstone, the great engine of prey that feeds the wolf and the bear and the eagle all at once. Come autumn, the herd belongs to the bulls. A big bull gathers a harem of females and spends every waking hour holding it together and driving off any male that drifts too close. He throws his head back and bugles, a high, wild scream that hangs over the whole valley. It is a challenge and a boast, and it carries for miles. Another bull answers. He walks in just as heavy, just as scarred. Neither one will give way on sound alone. They lower their antlers and lock. More than 1,000 pounds against 1,000 more, shoving through the churned mud, each trying to break the other's footing. It is a test of everything a whole summer of grass has built. In a few minutes, it is settled. The weaker bull tears free and trots away. He keeps his life. He loses the herd. The bugle of a bull elk is the true sound of this place, and it rings out only because, for now, the whole system is still in balance. But there is something beneath this park that sets it apart from every other wild place on Earth. Something the animals live on top of, and mostly pay no mind. Yellowstone sits on the roof of a supervolcano, a chamber of molten rock miles down that has blown this landscape apart 3 separate times across 2 million years. that heat has never gone away. It leaks to the surface as steam, and boiling springs and geysers that fire off on a clock all their own. Half of all the geysers on the entire planet are gathered here, in this one high valley. Where any other animal would run, life instead crowds in close. The colors that ring these springs are not paint and not stone. They are alive. They are mats of tiny creatures, thriving in water hot enough to scald a man. Some of the oldest and simplest life on Earth, still here, still holding on in the boiling shallows. In the depth of winter, that heat becomes a refuge. Bison gather on the steaming geyser basins, where the ground stays bare and the grazing stays close, grazing an arm's length from water that would kill them in a heartbeat. Fire and ice leaning on each other, holding the whole thing up. It would be easy, watching all of this, to think the place is safe now. A park, a promise, protected forever. But Yellowstone is not a wall built around the wild. The animals have never known where the line on the map is drawn. Every autumn, the elk and the pronghorn and the bison follow the same routes their ancestors have walked for thousands of years. Down out of the high country, toward the low valleys where the snow lies thin. And more of those ancient routes now run straight through fences and roads and towns. A bison that steps across the invisible boundary can be shot. The pronghorn migration, one of the longest any land animal still makes in North America, is funneled through a single gap between developments, only a few miles wide. Pinch that gap shut, and a herd that has moved for 10,000 years has nowhere left to go. And around all of it, the climate is turning. The long, hard winters that shaped every animal here are growing shorter and warmer. The deep snowpack that feeds the rivers is thinning year by year. The whitebark pine, whose fat seeds carry the grizzly through to spring, is dying off across whole mountainsides at once. A park cannot hold a season still. Yellowstone can guard the land inside its border. It cannot on its own guard the changing world that border sits inside of. And yet, if the story of this one valley teaches us anything, it is that ruin does not have to be the end. We took the wolf away, and the whole valley sickened. We gave the wolf back, and the willow grew, and the beavers returned, and the rivers steadied on their banks. We shot the bison down to 23, and today 5,000 of them plow the winter snow. None of that healed by accident. Every recovery in this place happened because people chose it, and then held that choice steady for year after year after year. Yellowstone was the very first piece of ground anywhere on Earth that we all agreed to keep wild. Back in 1872, 150 years on, it is still teaching us the one lesson it has always taught. Protect the whole web, not just one animal. The wolf and the elk, the willow and the beaver and the river, all of it together. Do that, and the wild will put itself back. Give it the room. Give it the time, and the wild will always, in the end, find its way home.